are America's homeless veterans? The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, states that the nation's homeless veterans are predominantly male, with roughly 9% being female. The majority are single, live in urban areas, and suffer from mental illness, alcohol and/or substance abuse, or co-occurring disorders. About 11% of the adult homeless population are veterans. Roughly 45% of all homeless veterans are African American or Hispanic, despite only accounting for 10.4% and 3.4% of the U.S. veteran population, respectively. Homeless veterans are younger on average than the total veteran population. Approximately 9% are between the ages of 18 and 30, and 41% are between the ages of 31 and 50. Conversely, only 5% of all veterans are between the ages of 18 and 30, and less than 23% are between 31 and 50. Although the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, estimates that every night over 40,000 veterans are homeless. Every night. Approximately 12,700 veterans of Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation New Dawn were homeless in 2010. The number of young homeless veterans is increasing, but only constitutes 8.8% of the overall homeless veteran population. A top priority for homeless veterans is a safe, secure environment free of alcohol and drugs. There are places like that, fortunately, and one of those places is the Harry Donovan Jr. Valor Home.
The Valor Home is a home for homeless veterans. We found that a lot of these veterans would be outside, especially in the winter and the summer. They'd be freezing or cold, and when you try to talk them into they've got a drug problem or an alcohol problem, and they would basically say that no, I don't want to come in. I'm gonna stick it out. Well, finally, if you talk to them a little bit and say, well, come in and spend a week with us, see how it is. And when I was feeling better and younger maybe, but I would go there and do the cooking because I love to cook. And so I'd give them, some prime ribs and give them steaks. I'd give them everything I could to, and then, so we have 5 Valor homes today, and I started the first one.
Having a home for the homeless vets we work with is more than just the physical structure. We're not looking at just putting you in a house, because we know without addressing the other issues as to why you lost your home, it's not going to last. So we have to build that better sense of community to get you connected amongst your peers and amongst fellow vets and amongst civilians too. So I think at the heart of what we do is love, and I think that comes from our greatest supporter, Harry Donovan Sr. The first thing you see when you walk into the Harry Donovan Jr. Valor Home is the Tree of Life, Tree of Honor, and you'll see Harry and Fran Donovan there at the roots, and the rocks of the other major partners and contributors, and then you'll see a bunch of other leaves of foundations, businesses, individuals, VFWs, American Legions who gave that help to build the Valor Home. So this was a great community project from day one of getting the entire community involved in the lives of our veterans. So here we're in one of the bedrooms here at Valor Home. We have 30 individual bedrooms. Veteran comes in and they immediately get their own room, their own bed, dresser. So it can be a little bit Spartan, but again, they have what they need, and it was really important to us to give each veteran their own bedroom and not to have shared space. As you can imagine, you get any 30 plus people together and force them to live together and then force them to sleep in the same room, that can be really difficult, especially when you're dealing with the issues that led you here. So this was really important. So we're in the kitchen now at Valor Home. 30-bed facility. We serve all vets 3 meals, 7 days a week. They help with the food preparation and cleanup. We also have a cook on staff. And we also have community partners, volunteers come in and help prepare meals, bring meals. So pretty important area here in the kitchen. Probably the guys' favorite spot. So we're in the living room here at Valor Home. We have one big TV for the guys to watch. They all have to agree upon. So usually there's sports or something here. But big wide open space for the guys to hang out, play cards, talk, watch TV, you know, whatever this room needs to be for the guys. They kind of gather in here and spend some time together. So one of the points of pride here at Valor Home is our creative arts therapy with the vets. So we don't just bring the vets in and help them find housing, help them find employment, help them get benefits. We also help them process through their trauma and experiences, and we do that through creative arts and a partnership with Summa Trauma Center. So we do music therapy, art therapy, creative writing, and Summa does a psycho trauma group once a week. And we felt that was really important. Most programs just kind of do talk therapy. Well, most of the vets that we serve has been through talk therapy, and that in of itself hasn't really got them to address or help them. So the creative arts gives our vets another way to share their story and have it be validated by their peers. You'll see some of the amazing pieces of work that they've created that shares their stories. So we're really proud of that, and it's had a huge impact on getting our vets housed. We've averaged over 80% over the last several years of getting vets exiting this program into permanent housing. The national average for these programs is now about 65%. So we know it's having a positive impact, our programming on our vets and getting back into the community in a positive manner. Get involved. Don't be afraid. Get involved with, contact your local VFWs, American Legions, your local homeless programs. Find out how, even if it's just coming in volunteering to prepare a meal. And don't be dissuaded if you go in and the vets aren't opening up immediately. Part of what we have to accept as civilians is, and especially if you're working in a homeless facility, you're coming into their home. So it's going to be a little bit awkward if you come in and you immediately expect to hear their story. Never ask a veteran, well, have you shot someone? Tell me that story, and I hear that from vets. People literally come out, and I just can't even imagine that. Just be there. Sometimes we just need to shut up and be there. And I think that's really, and it can feel like that's not enough, but it's not about us as civilians how we feel like it's not enough. To me, when I just shut up and I'm just there for a vet, and whether it's cooking a meal or helping them get clothing or volunteering my time or working, I think that's had far more impact than any wisdom or anything I feel like I can impart on anyone. It's just being there in silent support sometimes is what people need.
Females have played a very integral role in the establishment and longevity of America's fighting forces. And some of them, when they come home, they've done their tours of duty. Some of them, when they come home, may be homeless themselves. Are there resources where female veterans, some maybe with children, can go for some help?
We know that female veterans are a growing population that have no resources. Once they come out of the military, they're really on their own. They've learned a certain discipline in a certain way that they live their lives while they're in the military, and suddenly they're out here, and many of them are winding up homeless without the resources, and many of them are winding up with children.
A lot of our female vets are coming back with MST, which is military sexual trauma. I've heard anywhere from 40% to 80% are underreporting. So it is, unfortunately, it's something that's happening too often. They're not reporting it due to shame, due to not being believed, and they're coming back traumatized, and they're not presenting at the VA. It's about 4 in 10 female vets actually even access one benefit from the VA. We have to do better than that, and that's actually increased in the last 5 years. So we've started the trend the right way, but 4 in 10 is completely unacceptable. That's still a failing grade.
As the first female Summit County executive and the first female county executive in the state of Ohio, my heart naturally goes out to those who are in need, and especially those that have served our country so well and in such a meaningful way. Several years ago, we created Valor Homes here for men, and now we have the ability to create the Summit Liberty House, which will house women and children right here in Summit County, and give them that hope and that opportunity, and know that there is a different way of life, and there are people and organizations and companies here that are here to help.
This is the Liberty Home of Summit County. This is a permanent supportive housing program for the female vets. It's 4 units with 2 bedrooms. So we'll be able to serve female vets because they often bring children, which creates a whole nother layer of potential barriers to getting out of homelessness, to finding employment, and to getting yourself back on track. So it will be wraparound services. We're going to offer all the services that we offer our male veterans, plus more. This should have been done a long time ago. But the fact is we're now doing something about it. So it's a start. I'll say that about it. It's a start.
Fortunately, there are a lot of resources for homeless veterans. Lynn Proper in Columbus runs a resource center specifically for veterans.
Well, I founded it 17 years ago. We opened for business on Pearl Harbor Day of 2000. There been a lot of changes in the world since then. I had been working for the state of Ohio as a director of workforce development, and we kept seeing the state and federal government just kept cutting resources for veterans just year after year after year, and things that had once been commonly offered to veterans now didn't exist anymore. And so we sat down, some friends and I, and we looked at what we thought was a high water mark in veterans assistance. It was called the Vietnam Veterans Readjustment Act of 1974. And we looked at what was possible once and then what was happening now, and said, well, why don't we create an organization that sort of begins filling in the gaps? We began to see the same barriers to employment keep popping up: shelter, transportation, legal issues, mental health issues, physical issues, and they kept just popping up over and over and over again. And so we just began to evolve into the kind of organization we are today, and we're an organization that continues to evolve, based on the needs of our veterans. So our focus now is on self-reliance. We help veterans regain that self-confidence and independence that they once had, so they can manage their own lives. So what we try to do is help veterans say, identify, here's where my life is right now, and it's not where I want it to be. I'd really like it to be down here, and I'd love to be able to do that, but all these things get in the way. Life gets in the way. And we look at it as sort of a beaver dam on a stream. And those beavers build that dam. They do it stick by stick, and very gradually that water slows down until it's finally impeded. Well, that's what happens with veterans' lives too. Things happen little by little by little, and all of a sudden their lives have sort of gone off track. And so what we do is help the veterans begin to identify what are the barriers, those sticks in the dam that are important. And let's start working on them. Let's figure out, why is it an obstacle? What can we do about it? What kind of resources do we need to help you remove that? And we focus on one stick, one barrier at a time. Get them out of the way, and all of a sudden the water starts flowing again. And pretty soon that veteran is able to move on to where they want to be in their life. And we may never get rid of all the obstacles, but we get rid of enough for that veteran to have the life that they want to live.
This is truly a unique organization. It is an organization whose objective is to make contact with veterans and work with them to assist them to become self-reliant and independent once again. And it's unique because there aren't many organizations that are doing that, because you have to stay with the veteran. And we've got some veterans we've been working with for years in order to achieve that, because some of them it takes a little bit of time. We have over 3,500 veterans in the database that we're actively working with. Amazing thing is we only have 14 employees. 12 out of the 14 are veterans themselves. The thing about the organization is, I believe, and I'm certain, it is the best full-service support organization supporting veterans here in the state of Ohio. And the reason that is because, one, it's well-run, effective and efficient. We've got, from GuideStar, which rates all the nonprofits, a platinum rating. So from a business sense, it's well-run. And the second thing is that our specialists, the people who make the contact with the veterans, love veterans more than they love themselves. I mean, they're incredible. I couldn't do what they do. And they are successful because they have that heart-to-heart connection. And they won't quit on these veterans. And then the third thing is just the fact that we stay with them. And even if they get a job, there's 30, 60, 90, 6-month, 1-year follow-up. You know, we stay involved in their lives. And this is really important. I mean, this is so important. I mean, last year alone, we got 225 veterans jobs. Average salary right now is $40,000 a year. And about 95% plus of them are still working. I mean, the ones we've employed or got employment for. 350 companies in the state of Ohio have hired veterans from this organization. But we do much more now. I mean, we delivered 64,000 meals last year. Delivered is the key. They don't just come in and pick up food. Again, it's that contact, because you can't, unless you know the veteran, you can't help it.
About 1.4 million veterans, meanwhile, are considered at risk of homelessness due to poverty, lack of support networks, and dismal living conditions in overcrowded or substandard housing. In addition to the complex set of factors influencing all homelessness, extreme shortage of affordable housing, livable income, and access to health care, a large number of displaced and at-risk veterans live with lingering effects of PTSD and substance abuse, which are compounded by a lack of family and social support networks. Additionally, military occupations and training are not always transferable to the civilian workforce, placing some veterans at a disadvantage when competing for employment. Fortunately, there are a lot of resources for homeless veterans. We've just seen one, the Valor Home in Akron, but there's also quite a few others here in northeastern Ohio. Freedom House is one of those examples. We'll ask Walt Williams to tell us his story.
Well, I started in the service in October of 1975. I did 2 times in Korea, once in Germany, and I started my service at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. We had a reforger back in Germany in 1985. We finished the reforger, and they allowed the NCOs and officers to go to the village. And it just so happens that some Turkish guys was practicing for the Olympics, which was unknown to me. And they kind of kidnapped me and took me into this building, and there were some boxing gloves on the table, and they told me to put them on. And I refused, and of course, the 2 guys with the boxing gloves on commenced to pounding on me, so I just started pounding back, and they pretty much broke me up pretty good. I was getting ready to kill me, and by cutting my throat with a straight razor. I finally got out of there, and that's what ended my career in the military. My official position is peer-to-peer recovery, and to help veterans with their with aftercare, which is aftercare liaison. First, I'll allow you to acclimate yourself with the Freedom House. Then I would sit down with you and try to ask you, what can I do to help? You know, you're gonna help yourself, but what can I do to assist you in helping yourself? Some of the guys talk, some of them don't, but when they do, we do life experiences between the two of us, you know, try to make sense of the madness. What I find appealing about Freedom House is the fact that the staff cares about the individual veteran. They don't treat everybody in a group setting. They usually work with them on an individual basis, and that helps the veteran feel more comfortable getting back into society. When you don't know what's going on, you usually find other means to figure out why, such as drinking, drugs, or whatever. And then once you find out, those problems, well, I can't speak for all, I can only speak for me. Those problems seem to go away, the drinking and drugs, and you find a different thing to go with it, which is Freedom House to me. Just to being around the guys, you know. I'm more calmer now. I'm not as aggressive as I was. Because like I said, I can't speak for anybody else, but when two guys are beating you to death and then getting ready to cut your throat, you don't trust people after that. And it takes me a long time, and just to be around veterans, to be able to trust again. I didn't even trust my own family. You know, I could never sit with my back at a door or anything. You know, but now I feel a little bit better about that. Who else gonna help veterans but veterans? I saw a need there. You know, the way the system had really treated me for the first 30 years that I was out almost. I said, let me help. Maybe I can answer some of the questions that the guys have that nobody's answering. And, you know, it started there, and it helps me with my PTSD, to be able to talk to other veterans, be able to look and see some of the things that they go through, that I went through, and it's like a therapy.
We tried to give you a glimpse of the extent of the problem of homeless veterans here in northeastern Ohio, as it is around the country. But we've also tried to give you a glimpse of some of the resources that are available to them. Where do these resources come from? Well, they come from people like you and people like Harry Donovan Sr., who's actually the brainchild behind the Valor Home.
The reward that I've gotten from it is I can't tell you the number of men that have came to me and said to me, Harry, you saved my life. Coming in, just getting someone to say that to you. My God. That's the reward.
Funding for Veterans of America, Our Heroes in Uniform, was provided by CSE Federal Credit Union, thanking all veterans who have served or are currently serving. CSE can provide $0 down payment and low closing costs on VA mortgage loans for eligible veterans. By SARTA, where can we take you today?